Hey guys, it's your boy Alejandro Salomon Gonzalez, and today I wanted to bring you something different. Obviously, there's no video. Well, there's gonna be something in the background, but obviously I didn't record me physically or whatnot, just because I tried to make a album review for obviously Deftones' newest album, which just released last night at 12 o'clock. But I was having a little bit of difficulty just kind of jumbling my thoughts, and I was just saying I don't know. I just find it a little difficult. So I wanted to try just audio, see if it works out well. Just because I have a lot to say about this album, to be honest. And if you want the short version, I'm about to tell you right now. Go listen to this fucking album. Honestly, go buy it. Don't go listen to it on YouTube. Don't shuffle it. Go buy the full length album on iTunes or wherever you get your music, and just sit down. Take a drive and just listen to it from number one Genesis to the last song Ohms, like repeatedly without no interruption or anything. And trust me, you will love this album, guys. This album is just out of this world good. It really is. It's just honestly, it's just one of their best work, and that's just something good, something cool to say because they've been in the game for a while now, and just to see them still putting out great records is just insanely awesome. But anyways, kind of so that's the short version. But if you want to stay for the long version, go ahead and sit down. Maybe you're in a freaking shower, you're doing something. Turn up the volume, just relax, and enjoy whatever's going on in the back. Oh, also before I forget, I'm gonna say a lot in this fucking audio, so I'm sorry. Well, that one was an accident, but all the next ones are gonna be a real. um, but anyways, so the album dropped last night at 12 o'clock. I had to wake up early, but the anticipation was killing me, and I had to kind of see what I kind of wanted to skim through it to see what I was gonna get into. At least listen to it and get a feel for it. And so I did, but I usually don't like listening to a full length album on YouTube just because obviously as there's interruptions and like sometimes the quality is not the best, and you can't really experience the album how you should experience the album. So what I do usually is I buy them and then I listen to them, full from number one to the last song, and just give it the time of day, And I think that's how you should do any album. Um, which brings me to so 12 o'clock. I skimmed the whole album, kind of got a feel for it, and initial reactions was this album has big. I'm telling you, big potential. Like I was completely like blown away. I was like, wow, like this album really has a lot of fucking potential, and I cannot wait to listen to it tomorrow. So today came around and I actually bought it on iTunes, and I listened to it at work. I listened to it maybe from like making this audio, I've listened to it maybe 10 times or more. And I did that for a reason because initially you react to an album or you react to something. Keep in mind, Deftones hasn't put out any record or music since Gore, which was about 4 years ago, and so obviously you're excited. Everyone's excited as hell. So what I wanted to avoid was just initial reactions. Was I listened to the album fully first, and I was just super excited. I was just fucking ecstatic, so fucking happy just because of how good it was. And the reason why I wanted to listen to it more than, one time, well, obviously because it's that fucking good, but another reason why I wanted to do it was because I didn't want to give off my first reactions because I was just excited. I didn't want to say something like, "Oh, hey, Ohms was way better than White Pony or way better than Diamond Eyes," just because I was excited. I really just wanted to, and I think you should do that with any album or anything that you do. Is kind of listen to it, see what it's all about, and sit with it. Sit with it for maybe a day, a couple hours, maybe 2 days, maybe a week, and then give your initial your reactions. Because then you're saying silly stuff. You're saying like, oh hey, Ohms is better than White Pony, or Ohms is better than Diamond Eyes. When in reality, at least in my opinion, you can't compare the two. That they're both their own thing. I like before I started recording, I asked myself, which album do I think is better, Diamond Eyes or Ohms, because that's what the question that was on everybody's mind. Other than speculating if the album was gonna be great, or maybe like another Gore, which in my opinion is one of their weaker albums. But that being said, Ohms is just its own thing, and Diamond Eyes is just its own thing as well. The way I see it is kind of like Diamond Eyes and Ohms are the yin yang of Deftones. Like those albums are just like similar, but they're also not the same, like at all. But they're their own things. Like you can't really compare. You can't really say which one's better, which one's not. But at least in my opinion. But that brings me kind of to my initial reaction with Ohms when I actually did listen to it from start to finish when I was at work. And honestly, guys, this album is just something else. I remember I was saying that this album was, is it got delayed for a reason. It's coming out now for a reason. And I truly believe that now that I heard this album. Like this album, we're going to be talking about this album in a fond way come 5 years, come, another decade or so. Like trust me, this album's gonna pull through the test of time. And just because the record is just something else, like this record is beautiful in every way. And honestly, from I guess I should probably start from the pros that I really like about it was, and one was the fucking production, dude. Like the entire production of Ohms is top notch, guys. Like honestly, top fucking notch. Like I listened to it in my headphones, and then I listened to it on YouTube, obviously, and then I listened to it on my way back from work, and I listened to it before I started this audio on a regular speaker. And in all those formats, it sounded great. The instruments sounded crisp. Chino's vocals sounded great. Everything about it was just phenomenal. It just sounded crispy. It just sounded great, fluid, and everything. And another thing that I really liked about the production was, the how the music was laid out. I remember in my Genesis review, I was talking about how I felt like Genesis could have been the closer and how Ohms could have been the opener. Now listening to that whole album, I'm kind of like, there's no way that that could have worked because Genesis is such a great introduction. Ohms is such a great closure, or for the album, and I just think it's cool. And that being said, with the lineup of the songs, these guys know what the fuck they're doing. Like I love albums that you can just put on and just you lose time, or you lose time, yeah. Cause this album was 46 minutes, I believe, and I remember when I first listened to it, like I was just like I wasn't paying attention to what song was next. I was just kind of there. I was kind of there in the moment, like kind of just in this experience, and it was just so euphoric and so fucking awesome that next thing I realized is that I'm on fucking Ohms, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, like I love this song. This song is fucking great. This song is bitching, and then you realize I'm at the end of the fucking album, and you're like, what the fuck? When did this happen? And I think that just speaks volumes to the production and the layout of the music and everything, and these guys really did a great job with that. And that brings me to my next point is that is vinyls. So, and I promise you this will all kind of be coherent and everything. But so with vinyls, I bought Ohms in a vinyl. I tell you that because I'm very picky with my full length albums. And that being said, I'm even more pickier with my vinyl purchases. Like I just don't buy a vinyl just to buy, just because I want the color variant, variant or whatever. I buy a vinyl because I think the record deserves to be in a vinyl. Like for example, some of the records that I have is like the Contortionist Language or the Contortionist Clairvoyant, because if you've listened to those albums, it's sure you can play them in shuffle and whatnot, but the album is meant to be experienced from the first song to the last song, no skips, no interruptions, no nothing. Another vinyl that I have is like Silverstein's A Shipwreck in the Sand. Like that's a whole storyline, and you kind of have to follow it as such, as a storyline, kind of like a film. So that being said, me buying Ohms as a vinyl record just speaks volumes because the record really does sound like just one big experience, one big journey, one big euphoric fucking ocean. And I love that about an album. I love that about Ohms. The last album that was kind of like that with Deftones, and I know Gore and Kyo no Yoken was kind of like that. Like the transitions were very fluid and everything, but personally, I didn't purchase all of Koyo no Yoken or Ko no Yoken, and I didn't purchase all of Gore. I maybe purchased like 4 songs off of Gore, and I maybe purchased like around 6 of Ko no Yoken, which not saying they were bad albums, which I do say Gore was their weaker one, and Ko no Yoken was a solid album, but it wasn't the best. The last album that I have on vinyl from Deftones was Diamond Eyes, because I can listen to Diamond Eyes from the first song to the last song on repeat all fucking day. And that's exactly how I'm doing Ohms now. Like every single time I listen to, 11th time, 12th time I listen to it, I did not put it on shuffle. I did not shuffle it with all the other Deftones songs. I did not shuffle it with all my other library. I just played it from the Genesis to Ohms. And I think those kinds of albums are just the albums that you really see that the artist really gives a damn. They really care about. They really just want to. It's just not music they're putting out. It's like more than that. It's a fucking experience. Is I don't know. Is but I love that about Ohms. I love that the production is just so well made that it makes you forget what song you're on. It makes you and it just throws you in the fucking journey, which I love that. Um, let's see, what do I want to talk about next? What stood out in this album? You know what? Before I talk about that, I want to say which one was my favorite song. So originally, I thought it was Genesis because Genesis was just it had a little bit of everything, and oh, before I forget, this album is very experimental, and I think that's what makes it. To be honest, it's like it's so new, it's so fresh, it's so experimental that it's just something new. Like it's just like a breath of fresh air, and I love that. But that being said, with Genesis, when I heard it, I was like, dude, this is good shit. But then I heard the song, I think it's Pompeii. Pompeii, dude, that fucking song is so fucking good in my opinion. It's like one of their best, and I'm telling you, one of their best works in their whole discography. Like that song is just from start to finish is just so experimental, so new, so fresh, and I think Pompeii's gonna take it. I think that was probably my favorite fucking song off the album, and one of the reasons was just because it was so melodic, it was so euphoric, and I think when I say melodic and euphoric, that goes for the whole fucking album. But Pompeii was just 100% like just I was on fucking shrooms or I was fucking high or I was just in another fucking world. And which that brings me to my next point that I wanted to talk about was the what was it? I remember now. It brings me back to what I was saying before I asked what was my favorite song is what stood out in this album. And talking about Pompeii, the fucking synths, dude. The synths in this fucking album are outworldly fucking great, man. Like I'm not even joking. Like and especially in Pompeii, and obviously in the whole album, but especially on Pompeii is dude, this straight up fucking Blade Runner shit, dude. It's so fucking good, and if you haven't heard the song, pause this and go hear it, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. But there's like 2 whole fucking minutes of just fucking synths and the seagulls and all that shit, going on in the background and all that. Which reminds me, another reason why I also really love Pompeii, and I'll go back to the synths. I promise. I'm just all over the fucking place. This is why I couldn't do the video. But is that song for some fucking weird reason reminded me of the film The Lighthouse. Like like I don't know what it was. It might have been the seagulls. It might have been like the lyrics because he's talking about God and all that stuff. He's talking about the ocean. Like, he's talking about a bunch of cool shit and just the synths and everything. And if you've seen The Lighthouse, you know what I'm fucking talking about. Like I don't know, for some fucking reason this song really fucking reminded me of The Lighthouse. And I thought that was fucking great because that film is just phenomenal. It's just so good. And I think that also speaks to the whole record, is that the whole record has like this beautiful, tragic, sinister vibe to it, and I love that. Like, I love that kind of shit. Like, if you've seen my photography, like that's what I'm all about. I'm all about the tragic, but also the beautiful, and like I'm all about the whole blending of the tragic and the beautiful. It just makes for something, insanely awesome. And I think Pompeji really fucking showcases all that essence. And but anyways, talking about the synths, like the synth of this album for me was the thing that really stood out. Apart from everything else, like the guitar work was insanely great. Like everything, the production. Obviously, Chino's vocals were a little bit like, for some reason, I don't know if I have to check back, but does Chino do a lot of backup vocals? Like, additional vocals, I'm not sure, but I felt like in this one it was very like it was there. And I really love that, about the, Chino's vocals in this one. But obviously all that stood out, but what stood out to me the most was the fucking synth. It really made this whole record that much euphoric, that much cinematic, that much like what's it called, that much like not cinematic, but I can't get the word. Anyways, it just made the album that much greater. And I don't know what it was. I think it was just added layers. Like, there's so much layers to this album that I just really loved. I cannot talk, more, or I cannot talk enough about the fucking synths in this album. They're just like so there, and it's just fucking awesome. Like, I love it. So Blade Runner, sci-fi esque, and it really gave the album that extra layer. Um, but yeah, so that was my favorite song. Let's see. I talked about how, the production. I talked about how I got it in vinyl and all that stuff. I also got the gold version because honestly, this fucking album is gold. But I wanted to get the clear one. I think it was on their page, but you guys fucking bought out that shit like crazy. So I was like, dude, I need this shit in vinyl. So I actually found the gold variant. So I'm really excited for that because the it looks really good, well, with the black cover and all that stuff. And what's it called? And yeah, this album for sure is fucking gold. Like, honestly, it's so gold. It's truly up there with the Diamond Nines and White Pony, to be honest. Don't ask me which one's better. Honestly, I mean, if you want to have a conversation about that, let's go. But honestly, I can't say. I really cannot fucking say. Um, so that brings me to what I want to talk about next, is the album artwork. Like, just everything about. I don't know if I already mentioned this, but originally I was saying that this record was coming out for a reason. Now was delayed for a reason. Was, and honestly, after listening to this record, after being a part of the process, after being here for the release and everything, and the situation that we're in and all this bullshit that's going on, dude, this record is yeah, it came out at the right fucking time, and I promise you, and I might have already said this, but I might have already said this in another take, but bear with me if I didn't, or if I did too. Um, we're gonna be talking about this record fondly for sure in the next 4 years, in the next 10 years. We really are, guys. Like, I was reading some comments on a couple of the other songs on YouTube last night, and a lot of people were just obviously everyone's going through something right now, and for some reason this record really fucking hits you. It really does. I don't know what it is, but and I think that's why Pompeji is one of my favorite songs. Is just because in that moment, like that last 2 minutes, I was just in my feelings. I was just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, it just, like, just emotion came over me, and I was just like, dude, this, like, that's when I knew. I was like, this is a fucking record, dog. Like, this is a fucking one of a kind album. And I think that's gonna be the case for a lot of people, to be honest. That's gonna, a lot of people are gonna fall in love with this album because of the time it's coming out. And I think that's just great. There's always a piece of work that, or a piece of art that always comes out at the right time. And I think I was right when I said that this album is coming out exactly when it needs to be. And it did. And also, what is it called? Before I forget, if you haven't checked out what Deftones is doing with the whole dots of their artwork, like, I think they're donating stuff and whatnot, and I'll put it up here somewhere so you can see. they're donating to a children hospital, and they're also donating to the people that work in concerts, like the people that put up the instruments and all that stuff, and obviously they lost their jobs because of COVID. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and I'll drop in the link. Go ahead and donate. It's only $20, and it's for a good cause, and you get to be a part of this fucking revolutionary album. But that also brings me to the album artwork. It's so simple and so awesome that honestly, now that I see a simple artwork on a Deftones album, I'm gonna be like, that shit's gonna be a banger. Because I mean, look at White Pony. It's just a fucking horse, or a fucking Diamond Eyes. It's just an owl. So I feel like the simplicity of it is just great. Also, before I end this, audio, I just another thing that I wanted to talk about was how every single song on this record is a little bit different. Like it has a something that's just unique to its own, song or whatever. But in the end, all these songs kind of like all correlate, or they all like fit into one big piece, and it's just something beautiful that Deftones has really put out, is that something, all these songs are so unique to one another, they're so unique to their all the other discography and whatnot, but they can still be put together and make this great piece of art. I think that just speaks to art, to be honest, because a lot of people, like, let's say film, for instance, it takes so many different people to make a film, but in the end of the day, they make one big piece of work. And I think that's just the best kind of art, is the art that is all different. It all takes so many fucking components, but in the end of the day, makes one big great piece of work. And honestly, that's the Ohms album. It's so fucking good, guys. If you haven't listened to it, please go listen to it. Go fucking get it on vinyl record. Hurry up because they're selling out like crazy. Go buy it on iTunes. Don't listen to it on YouTube. Don't listen to it in shuffle. Listen to it in all full length. Go drive. Go do something. Oh, also, before I forget, the album, talking about, earlier I was talking about, how listening to the album got me a lot of, very emotional. It honestly just made me want to, pick up my girlfriend and be like, hey, let's just take a long drive to God knows where, and just windows down and blasting this fucking album. Like, it just made you want to do some, it just made you want to live, if that makes sense. And I think that's what makes this album so beautiful, is that it just makes you happy. It just makes you appreciate life. It just makes you appreciate that you're alive. And just for an album to do that is just fucking awesome. And it's just something that Deftones has really done beautifully. But guys, that was my time. And again, if you enjoyed this kind of format, kind of like a podcast or whatever, let me know. Like I said, I tried to shoot the video, but the video was just very, very, very time consuming, and I wasn't feeling it. I don't know why. And so I did this. And please, guys, please let me know your thoughts about this album. Let me know if you do think it is better than Diamond Eyes, if you think it's their best work. Like, I want to talk to you guys about it, and I'll try to message whenever I can. I'm very busy as well, so I try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. But just if I wait like a day or two, don't think I'm ignoring you. It's just I'm trying to get to you whenever I can. But I want to talk to you guys. Like, let me know what you think about this album. Let me know which one was your favorite one. Like, which one did you feel emotion when you listened to the album? Did you fucking cry? Like, what did you want to do when you listened to this? Like, what made you happy about it? What did you not like about it? Like, did you not like it? Also, feel free to tell me if you didn't like this album at all. I also want to know. And guys, please be civil with each other. I know a lot of people get offended when you don't like their own stuff, but everybody has their own opinions, guys. Come on. We're not fucking 12 anymore. So please, guys, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you thought about this album, like what you think about the artwork, what you think about the whole process, like what you think about the synths, what you think about Pompeji. Like, tell me, please. I want to hear from you guys. But if you stuck around, I really fucking appreciate you guys. I really do. Thank you so much for the love in all my videos and the subscription and everything. I'm very humbled, and I really appreciate you guys. I really love your conversations and everything. I really like, you guys are very, very awesome. So I really appreciate it. Go fucking listen to this album, please. Do yourself a fucking favor. Go listen to this album after this, please. Buy it. And let me know what you thought about this format and everything, okay, guys? But that was it for today, guys. Let me know what you think. Please let me know what you think. And I'll catch you on the next one, all right? Peace. Till next time.